Welcome back to the Home Performance channel. This is your warning that there is graphic content ahead. This video is not going to be about home performance testing or about high performance construction, though it is about ventilation and about controlling your indoor chemistry, both of which are really important to building science. If you are using or thinking about buying a composting toilet, or if you're morbidly curious about how the other side lives, then keep watching. We've beaten around the bush on the toilet stuff for the last couple of years as we've lived here, but there are people who still want details on tiny house life. So in this video, I am going to show you the process of resetting the composting toilet in our house. If you want even more info about home performance for tiny spaces, then check out our course about that. But there is going to be excrement talked about and shown in this video. So if you're not into that right now, stop watching. Most composting toilets cost about $1,000. Can you build one yourself because you're super handy with DIY? No, you can't. Some people are under the impression that this is a bucket filled with sawdust that magically turns into compost. You poop and pee into this bucket in this imaginary scenario. This is a bucket that you poop and pee into. It's called an outhouse and it produces raw sewage. Don't put anything that works like this inside your house. Our cats use a bucket like this. It's called a litter box, and I empty this of poop and pee every single day. The composting toilet, I only have to reset once a month if we have 3 people using it daily. The secret behind it is that it diverts the liquid away from the solids. The solids go in this hole. You have to be pretty good with your aim. You get better and better as you use it. But if you're not depositing solids, then the liquids go down into the liquid side. And we simply flush it with a little spray bottle. We fill it with half vinegar and half water, and you just give a little spritz. I do empty this pee container every day, but it's pretty simple, and I do not like it when the pee overflows into the toilet. That is way too disgusting to put on even this disgusting video. Mark your territory like any apex predator would, but be smart about it. If I pour a gallon of concentrated pee onto a pile of rocks, it's gonna stink until the next time it rains. If I instead pour it on some plants or a bush, they like to drink up the moisture and the nitrogen. And I probably don't need to say this, but don't pour it on the same plant every time. Also, for the men, if you pee into this toilet standing up, you will get a mist of urine that splashes around your whole bathroom, just like always. But in a tiny house, that is totally repulsive. So men, sit down to pee in my house. But I find that 99% of the time I pee outside because I can and because it brings joy to my life. Any quality composting toilet is going to have a built-in exhaust system so that air is constantly moving down into the toilet, even when you're using it. So you should never smell poop or pee inside your house. Now, is it possible to push the smells inside your house by accidentally installing the fan backward? Yes, that has been done before. And if the power goes out at night while you're asleep, the alarm that wakes you up will be the smell of compost inside your house because the fan has stopped working. And we're always resetting this toilet outside. So the first thing that I need to do is disconnect it from the exhaust hose. When we were on the Proof is Possible tour, every time I would get to this part and I would make sure that I was alone, I would be about to dump the contents, and magically, someone would appear right over my shoulder and be all curious about what I was doing. So if you're one of those people that I yelled at, I'm sorry. We take the seat off, and what you have is the solids container. This is what it should look like. You'll notice there's no toilet paper in here. We've tried both ways, and it's 100% better to put your toilet paper into an airtight trash container like a diaper pail. For God's sake, don't let it get any higher than this before you replace it, or it'll stop mixing properly. Also, it shouldn't be soupy, or it will not turn into compost. You need to get the moisture out of there. And it might leak around the handles. Here, you can see these go into the container with little gaskets. If anyone in your house gets diarrhea, they need to tell the toilet man, because that is going to change the mix and you're going to need to reset it a lot faster. Also, don't barf in the toilet. Barf in the backyard or in a bucket like a normal person. Now you can put this in a trash bag and throw it away, or you can use it for compost, but You should never mix it with compost that you're going to be using to grow food, because it's probable that we have medications in our body that ends up in here, and then it's going to end up being a chemical additive in your nice organic fruits and vegetables. Just don't do it in any circumstances. That goes for pea too, by the way. Also, there's bacteria like E. coli in here, and you'd want to let it sit in a compost pile for a lot longer than a month if you're going to use it. And that's what it should look like after a month of being in the composting toilet. Fairly dry and not too stinky. Now comes the important part, resetting the mix. So you don't need to worry about cleaning out the inside of your container. This is fine. It's just gonna get dirty again anyway. So what I'm using here, and I've tried a bunch of different ways, this being the best way that I found so far. This is 3+ years of resetting this mix. This is coconut coir. It's basically coconut shell husk, you know, the fibrous part, and it's been packed into these really dry, dense little cookies. I generally like to buy the biggest one that I possibly can. This is about 25 bucks, and I cut it into 6 pieces, so it'll last me about 6 months. And I do not add any water to this. So I'm gonna take my bucket and I'm gonna fill it up with what I know to be the right amount, which is about like that, one of these cookies. And then I'm just gonna crumble this directly. If I buy the one-off bricks, they come really, really hard. This stuff has been sitting out in the humidity for months at this point. I'm halfway through this bag. And so it's soft enough for me to do what I'm about to do. So I'm just gonna crumble it into a combination of dust and pieces that are maybe no bigger than this, because they're gonna crumble on their own later. When we add poop, you are going to get dirty when you do this, so do not wear your Sunday clothes. In general, as an anecdote, I find that I do not smell the composting toilet outside our house, even though the exhaust port empties right outside the house. You can smell it when someone is actively using the toilet, but in general, it's not. It smells like compost, if anything. So once you're about halfway up the mixer, then you want to add the compost starter. This is basically the same as yeast. It's little bugs that are going to eat what we put in here and turn it into compost. You need that. Don't be stingy with that part. Now we want to make sure the outside is clean, especially the rim, and give the seat a disinfecting wipe down. And we can put it back together. Last important thing, filters. There is one here and one inside the exhaust hose. These keep bugs from getting into the composting container. So we take these out, and you can see how caked these get. Do not put them in your mouth. Wash them with soap and water. Dry them. Put the filters back in, and you have a perfectly pristine toilet to start a new month with. It's always a nice feeling. If you are dying to poop and pee in our toilet in the highest performance tiny house on wheels in the world, you can do that now. We have a Patreon membership page. The link is on the screen right now. And the highest tier of that gets to come and spend a weekend visiting us and sleeping here and staying in this place and seeing what it's like. And if you thought that this video was adorable and you think maybe the world needs more honest conversations like this, we would appreciate having you support us at any level at all. But please do comment, like, subscribe. Tune in next time.